spanking new Lexus SUV. How is that possible? Integrate into the same neighborhood that I worked my entire life to get into. I don't understand it.
Why? Oh, yeah, here's this guy right here in his brand new Lexus.
There he is,
there
right
he
there.
Is, right there.
That guy right there, that's a
Look at that vehicle.
Yeah, that's an immigrant.
That's an immigrant with a $100,000 Lexus.
Yeah.
It is so hard for a certain group of people to believe that anybody else could be successful because the system was rigged specifically for them, right? We see it time and time again. History has shown us how policies have been put in place for them to succeed. So if they aren't successful and they work so hard, how can it be that a person of color, how can it be that a Latino or a black person can be successful? They just don't get it. And that's when envy comes into play. And that's why they voted the way they did. Because they were hoping that this would give them a leg up. Not realizing they have the leg up by just being this and still can't figure it out. Instead of focusing on themselves, instead of asking, how did they do it so I can do the same? Instead of being happy for others and knowing it'll be my turn one day. They envy, they hate, and they call anybody who is a Latino an illegal, and how dare they, and how could they? Hatred, racism runs deep and it's expensive.
Brand spanking new Lexus SUV. How is that possible? Integrate into the same neighborhood that I worked my entire life to get into. I don't understand it.
Why? Oh, yeah, here's this guy right here in his brand new Lexus.
There he is,
there
right
he
there.
Is, right there.
That guy right there, that's a
Look at that vehicle.
Yeah, that's an immigrant.
That's an immigrant with a $100,000 Lexus.
Yeah.
What if he came over here with skills already? What if he's in tech? What if he's in some high hospital paying job? What if he started his own business? Do these people not think of any of these things? Just because you worked really hard to get where you are doesn't mean that he didn't work that hard. Also doesn't mean that he didn't work harder than you. That's silly. Like, the minds of people who are trapped in the indoctrination of their ancestors who lost that war is truly astounding. Like, they can't escape the consistent and continued loop of their expected or delusional superiority to the point where they're like, well, there must be something has to happen. He got assistance. Because he can't be better than me. Foolishness.
Brand spanking new Lexus SUV. How is that possible? Integrate into the same neighborhood that I worked my entire life to get into. I don't understand it.
Why?
Bruh, this is Lex Luthor, like, level hate. What you mean? How did you get that? I don't know, maybe he built his credit. I don't know, maybe he saved his money. Maybe he didn't waste it on drugs and alcohol and poppers or whatever the heck white people be doing in their trailer parks. I don't know. Why are you pocket watching? That is crazy.
Being pissed off because immigrants drive better cars, have better jobs, and own better homes than you is completely asinine to me. You will see, actually there's a video that I'm going to attach here, and this couple is pissed off because this immigrant, they're not illegal, this immigrant is driving a Lexus that costs $100,000. Now keep in mind, not once did they ever admit to that maybe he is better educated, has a better job, has family money, nothing like that. And I think just hatred of immigrants, I'm an immigrant myself, I came here over 2 decades ago, I'm a citizen now, but to have hatred of us just because we are able to do a better job and perform better is completely psychotic. Watch this video.
Brand spanking new Lexus SUV. How is that possible? Integrate into the same neighborhood that I worked my entire life to get into. I don't understand it.
Why? Oh, yeah, here's this guy right here in his brand new Lexus.
There he is,
there
right
he
there.
Is, right there.
That guy right there, that's a
Look at that vehicle.
Yeah, that's an immigrant.
That's an immigrant with a $100,000 Lexus.
Yeah.
I'm so sick and fucking tired of hearing about privilege. Privilege isn't being white, bonehead. Privilege is living in government housing and calling people oppressors while they pay your fucking bills. Get it? I'm done pretending that any of this bullshit makes sense. You want to talk about privilege? You want to talk about real privilege? Real privilege is wearing $200 sneakers when you haven't worked a day in your life. Privilege is walking around with $300 Beats headphones while you're living on fucking food stamps.
Lock in, fuck niggas. We about to fact check this shit. First, if you fuck with me, check out the podcast. Let's get it. What the hell are you talking about? Poor people are not spending their money on shoes and Beat headphones. In fact, research shows that families actually spend majority of their money on food, shelter, and utilities. Not to mention 6 months ago, MAGA was complaining how undocumented migrants are using his government aid and is meant for people who are US citizens. Now we're tripping about US citizens using government aid? And on top of all of that, most of your taxes are going to elderly people. If we just look at government agencies that spend the most money, we see that Social Security is the second most spent agency. Other agencies that focus on government housing and food stamps make up less than 3% of spending. And you know what it sounds like? It doesn't sound like you're upset with poor people, it sounds like you're upset with the economy. Donald Trump promised people that they're going to be wealthy under his administration, and he's failing at that. Now you gotta place your anger on the lower class people. Because I'll tell you this much, once he turns 65, he's not gonna be talking smack about government assistance anymore.
Why are so many poor folks MAGA? Since we were born, we've been sold this American dream idea. If you just work hard enough, you can get anything you want. Get your house, your white picket fence, be successful, be rich, like an Elon Musk or Trump. But then these folks wake up in their 40s, 50s, and 60s and realize they failed. I worked hard, where's my American dream? They can't bear the thought that it might be their fault. I ain't got a mansion because them illegals keep coming over here and taking our jobs. I ain't got no land because they keep spending my tax dollars on them surgeries for them T people. We can't get ahead because they took all the Bibles out of classrooms. I'd be rich right now if it wasn't for them liberals. They have to blame somebody. And if you're a minority, you're it. It's an existential crisis of self-preservation.
MAGA supporters were out here complaining like, oh my God, the immigrants are like taking money from us for their health care, their food, their housing. Like, no, they weren't. They was paying for their own thing. The people that's now locked up in those jail cells, like especially the ones they took from the work sites, they took people from schools, they took people from immigration proceedings. You know what you're doing now that you don't realize? Now, today, your tax dollars are legitimately paying for their housing, their health care, and their food. And it's substandard on top of that, but they charging you supreme level pricing because they gotta pay them ICE agents, baby, and they gotta line the pockets of them corporations that own them freaking busted up jail cells that y'all over here thinking is so grand and so great. Y'all think this is really, really helping? None of those immigrants were on public assistance. You wasn't paying for none of their life stuff. They was paying for their own thing. They was working hard. But now, you footing the bill. Good job, stupid.
I saw this comment that said, I'd rather be poor in an all-white country than rich in a multicultural one. As a black person, insane to me that in this country you can have a 400 or 500 year head start and still be poor, whereas very small percentages of black and brown people are successful. And it got me thinking of the very ethos of what Trump is running on and what MAGA feel.
You know, what nobody wants to talk about is you lose the racial demographics in your country. Is it wrong for a person in our country to want a country that's majority white? Is that a wrong thing? And if you replace the native populace with people from other countries, that is going to change that culture. So it's...
America is a country that was founded by migrants.
Was it though? I mean, who are the founders? They were white Americans that came over here and then...
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
He's running on the misalignment of what it means to be white in America and the fact that they never were able to attain wealth in what is considered their country, and pinning minority presence and success against poor white people. And it's sad because if I was poor and white, I wouldn't blame other people for my predicament being in a country that was made for us. But it seems to be working. And that's why we have a rise in white nationalism, because for too long now, these people feel as if they've been pushed to the side, irrespective if it's other white rich people pushing them aside and making their conditions their conditions. It's easier to blame us because we're closer in proximity. It's also, as a black person, insane to me that in this country you can have a 400 or 500 year head start and still be poor, whereas very small percentages of black and brown people are successful. There are more educated black people than there have ever been. Black women are holding higher secondary degrees than anyone else. Asian Americans are some of the most educated people in the world, and the list goes on. But for you to be centuries old poor in a country that you were told was for white people, and to have minorities be the ones that you see on TV, or you see in movies, or you see driving cars, or they're athletes, and it really makes your blood boil that you are not able to attain these things. So this is the premise that you run on, and to maintain that premise, you lock up migrants, you do a campaign against immigrants, you call them rapists, you call them evil, you call them dirty, you round them up, and in those actions you make us poor white people feel vindicated. Yes, we're getting these people out of our country, because that's the only semblance of power they have, right? Is racism. It's not actual wealth, it's not actual jobs, it's not the power to control anything, because we live in an autocratic society in which oligarchs run all of those things, so they're not a part of that, but they can be a part of racism. And that is the history of America, and how it has always been, and how they've always been able to keep a small minority of white people in power and empowering the bulk of the poor majority white into thinking that this is a linear access to power, and it's all due to whiteness. America.
It's just, to me, in my opinion, it's misplaced anger. Like, why? It makes no sense to be upset at, as he said, we don't control that. You need to be mad at the oligarchs and the politicians. We don't control that. This couple right here, this is very like, it's crazy. How is it possible? Like, like their minds can't fathom the fact that other people work harder just to sustain. So if he's driving a 100K vehicle, it's because he can afford to. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you guys are spending too much money on your Trump memorabilia. You're buying into the lie instead of fixing yourself. Most immigrants, not, I don't have a long list of immigrants that I know, but I've come across a lot of them, right? I don't have any that's present in my life right now. I'm gonna tell you like this. Most immigrants that I know, black immigrants, I'm not speaking on no other demographic, right? They work hard as shit. They work 2-3 jobs nonstop. And they don't complain about it either. You know what I'm saying? So for, this couple to just be hating, oh, well, he's driving 100, I worked my, what'd he say? I worked my whole life. I've worked my whole life. He worked his entire life to get there. So, he shouldn't be there because I worked my entire life. Well, you weren't working hard enough. It's just what it is. We have to battle through so many different things to get the basic. So if you see a successful immigrant black person in that position, it's because they've worked their ass off. They sacrificed a lot to get there. I would never for the life of me understand how people feel so entitled to things. And at the end of the day, right, it's just materialistic shit. But they're basing the value of, they're pretty much trying to say like it just got handed to them. And I'm going to tell you like this. I grew up very, very, very low income. You ain't just getting no Lex vehicle because you're poor and you're black. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. So, but these are the people that have no contact with regular black Americans. They sit around all day and talk about racial, political things and learn ignorance from each other, and they think that's fact. And then when they come out into the real world and see, I've never been able to say real and world back to back without it sounding crazy like that. But whenever they come out to the real world, they find out like, oh, it's not that they're all supposed to be on food stamps and they're supposed to be getting government assistance, but wait a minute. So they must have got it from government assistance. Ain't nobody getting no Lex truck or buying a house on government assistance. It doesn't happen. It can't happen. It hasn't happened to my knowledge. And I'm as black as they come.
I'm from the hood. I'm from all that. So you got people that aren't in these communities that I grew up in that can tell you how they've gotten it, but the people that are there have never seen people get it how they're saying they got it. But that's a fact, man. What are y'all talking about here? What are we talking about? Okay. And we'll get like I get tired of like the old argument. Right, where's this guy at? Here. The old argument, right? Hold on. Wait. I just wanna
Privilege isn't being white, bonehead.
There is a privilege to being white. It's not just about your skin color and you receiving the privilege, but there's a lot of privileges. You may not be aware of them, but you get a lot more privileges just because of the color of your skin. Yes, you do.
Is living in government housing and calling people oppressors while they pay your fucking bills.
I mean, first off, you need to be mad at the system. And we've already been through these numbers. There are more white people on every single piece of assistance that you can imagine by 3 times the amount. So it's not even close. Okay. But he again, the hat speaks for itself. He again is a person that's just dumb. He won't take the time to actually learn the things that he's passionate about. Then they get on the internet and speak about it like it's fact. I literally, again, and I'm more qualified to speak on this than any person that's not from the black community that speaks on these issues. Why? Because I grew up in it and I lived black 365 and half for 37 years. I'm more than qualified. I'm way more qualified to speak on it than this dude. Okay? Hold on.
Pretending that any of this bullshit makes sense. You want to talk about privilege? You want to talk about real privilege? Real privilege is wearing $200 sneakers when you haven't worked a day in your life. Privilege.
I know no one that hasn't worked a day in their life. That doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. I get it. There's loopholes in the system, right? Be mad at yourselves because you don't know how to use the system. Be mad at yourself. You know someone that doesn't have a job that has $200 pair of shoes on? Cause I don't. I've never. Where do they get this from? They make this. Where do they get it from?
Living on fucking food stamps.
All right, y'all gotta watch the rest of the video with that. Go back and watch bro go in. I'm not even finna go into that. But the notion that it's just like the basis of most of this, right, is they assume that people, black immigrants and people, honestly, it doesn't matter whether that guy driving a Lex truck was an immigrant or not. It would have been a black man and they would have still felt the same way. They would have just worded it differently. You know, I would have been some kind of drug dealer or something. They would have figured out some kind of racist dog whistle to call me to make it work in their favor as far as the rhetoric is concerned. Okay? It doesn't matter. But they just can't fathom the fact that people just have to work twice as hard to get where they're at equally. And so if he is driving a Lex truck, he's working probably 5 times harder than you ever have. It is what it is. There's no knock on that guy. You guys need to put a mirror up and check yourselves in the mirror about these things. You being mad at what somebody else is driving is crazy to me. All right. He could be making $40K a year. You can afford a $100K Lexus truck on $40K a year if you know how to budget correctly. So you don't know people's circumstances to judge what they're spending their money on. How do we know you guys are not drinking beers and effing off every single weekend and blowing your money on football gambling and stuff like that, smoking meth? How do we know that? You don't know. That can be a doctor from another country. You have no idea, you know. But I'm gonna tap into what she's talking about here. Okay.
The racial demographics in your country. Is it wrong for a person in our country to want a country that's majority white?
Yes, it's very wrong because this is not an all-white country. It has never been. You can say founding fathers were white. Native Americans and Aboriginals were here before that. This has never been an all-white country, and it never will be. And it's a weird argument, right? Why do you guys obsess over things just being that? Y'all don't even get along with each other. Y'all don't like most of yourselves. Most white people that I know tell me they don't like white people because of this type of shit. Y'all don't even get along. Y'all haven't for hundreds of thousands of years. Why do you think those guys left Europe to come over here to America to begin with? Huh? Because they got along with everyone? And no, they came over here with another ideology. I could do this all day, but it's unfortunate because you guys are Xing out a lot of good people being this way, being racist, being bigoted, being hateful, trying to pocket watch what others are doing instead of self-reflecting and trying to make your shit better. That guy driving by that couple probably would be a very great neighbor to them if they even gave it a chance. They won't. They sit in their little Republican closed off world, watching hateful videos all day, building a false narrative about people that they not dare experience or have been around. You're just missing out. That's all you're doing. You're excluding yourself. Don't be like these people. Be better. Let me know what y'all think. Leave your comments below. I'll respond. Remember, be respectful. If you're asinine, I'm going to block your ass. I'm going to have you on the block, and I can shadow ban you from the channel where you can post all day. It's just going to be you looking at it. So you be stupid if you want. That's up to you. Like, comment, share. I'm going to see y'all in the next one. Peace.